Hello and welcome to your snack sandwich. Today I have a really quick video for you on SonicSPHERE. This is pretty cool stuff, a lot of big brain stuff going on in here, a lot of things to happen. I do have a flowchart for you, so I will use the flowchart to explain how I understand this thing to be processed. However, as always, I will recommend you go to their docs and read through it. It's quite a big thing. There's a lot here to read, but I think it's pretty accessible, and if you do read it, then you'll probably understand it well enough. However, those of you who don't want to read can just wait and watch my video as I go through the flowchart. So let's swing over there now. Hey guys, I want to take a quick moment to highlight Rise testnet. Rise testnet is live. As some of you may know, I'm kind of helping them out. I would highly suggest you come and check this out. There are some apps here you can kind of play around with. On the home page you can get some tokens. You can try this backup faucet if you find that this isn't working, and you can see the TPS and some stats here: gas per second, shred interval blocks, and you can see it is performing pretty well. I'm not sure why there's a 0 here. I believe that this is a bug or just something like that. So anyways, come and check it out. I would highly suggest everyone who is looking for a little extra to come and try these apps out. It's not going to hurt you, and there's probably going to be some benefit in the future. So, there are quite a few here to give it a go. Just get some tokens, send some transactions, and give some feedback. Okay, thanks. Oh, before I get to the flowchart, I really should mention that they're going to run a fair launch token generation event. So there will be some whitelist abilities to start this. So I would take some time, follow the Twitter, find out when there's going to be the whitelisting. Maybe check the website, SonicSPHERE.capital.home, and watch out for like a whitelisting time when you could whitelist your wallet in order to get into this fair launch if that's something you want to participate in. So now let's swing back over to the flowchart. Okay, so here we are on the flowchart. We have dollar bill, we have sphere in the middle. It's going to get a little crazy when I get through all of this, but I hope you will understand as things go. Okay, so Sphere is a automated on-chain fund. Okay, so you think of it this way, that you give it money and you try to get shares, and this automated fund is going to use the money you gave it to then invest in things or try to get yield and stuff like that. It'll become very clear, but that's the general idea. Is you give it some money, you get some shares, and then you can use those shares for other things in the future. That's kind of the very big overview, very simplification of what this thing does, but let's get into the nitty-gritty and kind of talk about how it works. So first of all, they have a governance token called SPHERE, and holders of SPHERE can vote to direct emissions to these Dutch auctions. Okay, so right at the start of the protocol, the team will set up these Dutch auctions. Like, they will decide which assets are applicable for these Dutch auctions, which assets does this fund want to acquire in order to get yield on those assets. But after a while, these SPHERE token holders will be the main choice. They will be the ones who are deciding to open new auctions for new yield-bearing assets. So here in this auction we have STETH beats staked ETH, and if this is the case, they're going to set up this Dutch auction. So a Dutch auction is where the price is quite high, and then it goes down until somebody says, yeah, that's a good value, and they buy it. Okay. So let's say dollar bill is watching this auction. The auction price is decaying down, and then he finally says, yeah, that's a good price. So what does he do? He takes some of that STS tokens, staked Sonic validator tokens, and he sends them to the Dutch auction, and he gets those SPHERE tokens. Okay, these are options SPHERE tokens. So the emissions of this protocol are all in SPHERE. So they send SPHERE to these to dollar bill here, and he gets these SPHERE. You can do different things with these SPHERE. I'll get to that. Okay, so just so you can kind of understand, so he pays the STETH that based on the price of the Dutch auction as it's decaying. Okay, now all that STETH is sent to the treasury the protocol-owned liquidity treasury, and is pretty much stuck there forever. Like it's going to be in that fund forever for perpetuity. I'm not sure if the contracts allow them to escape it or anything like that. I didn't look at the contracts. I'm just talking about the design. So think of it like this ST ETH is going to go into this treasure and it's never going to come out again. Okay, that's the main idea. So dollar bill is never going to get back his STS tokens. Okay, so he's got SPHERE now. What can he do with this SPHERE? He's got some options. So the first thing is he can permalock these SPHERE tokens into kind of quasi GSphere. Okay, they're like GSphere, but they only give him voting power. Okay, so they're not actual GSphere tokens, and you'll see in the future why there's some difference to these. Okay, so it just kind of permanently forever locked voting power. So that's one option. Now this is probably an option for a protocol that has a sustainable protocol and they want sustainable forever voting power, so they might do this. Okay, the second option is he can exercise these SPHERE into Sphere tokens by paying one token, one Sonic token per Sphere token. So if he has 100 SPHERE tokens, he can pay 100 Sonic and get 100 Sphere tokens in return. Now, why would he do that? Is because there's some opportunities for this Sphere tokens. Okay, so first of all, that payment that he made goes into the bonding curve and gives him his Sphere tokens. So now the Sphere tokens, the Sphere tokens are on a bonding curve, so they can never be worth less than one Sonic token, because that's how the bonding curve starts at 1 to 1. Okay, so his 1 to 1, his token goes in and he gets the Sphere at 1 to 1, and it kind of sits there. Now people can also buy from the bonding curve, right? So they can raise the price of the bonding of the Sphere tokens on the bonding curve simply by buying from the bonding curve instead of trying to farm it with these auctions and stuff like that. So there's times when the bonding curve, when the price of Sphere on the bonding curve will be higher than 1 to 1, but it will never go below 1 to 1 because it's a bonding curve. Okay, so let's keep going. So now that he has these Sphere tokens, he can look for arbitrage opportunities. So maybe the bonding curve is above price and he can immediately sell it and make 1.5 or something like this Sonic back. Okay, and then use those to regain his ST ETH or STS, sorry, and then or he can like maybe arb on some other pools, like maybe on Shadow or SwapX or Equalizer or wherever they happen to have liquidity pools. There might be a better price out here as well. So he can, that would be an option. It's an instant like arbitrage opportunity for dollar bill if the case of these, if the Sphere tokens are selling above 1 Sonic on some of these different venues, right? So moving on. The second chance is he can take that Sphere and he can lock it for GSphere. Now they call it lock but it's more like staking. Okay, so it's more like you stake it, and if you want to withdraw it, you have a 1-week cooldown. Now, of course, I assume that during that 1-week cooldown, you are forfeiting any rewards or any powers that you have, and you just wait your 1 week, then you can sell. So they call it a lock, but it's more like a stake in my opinion, because it's so short and so forth. So you can get some GSphere. So we'll call it get GSphere with the GSphere has a 1-week cooldown. So now let's dig deeper into GSphere and talk about all the things it can do. I already mentioned that it can vote on to direct emissions, the weekly emissions, to different auctions, right? So and it can get bribes, like if some protocol, if Beats wanted to incentivize this, they could put bribes on this, and then the GSphere would get to those bribes. Moving on. They can also vote for a new auction. Okay, like I said in the beginning of this video, the governance will be passed over to the GSphere holders, and the GSphere holders will be deciding if new Dutch auctions should be implemented so that the treasury can acquire new yield-bearing assets. In this case, I put silo staked SCUSD. Okay, so that would be a yield-bearing asset as well. And if the treasury and the protocol decides that this is an asset that they want to acquire, then they can vote to create a new auction for this new token. So in these cases, these are the tokens they want, and the token they're going to give all the time is SonicSPHERE. Okay, moving on. Now we have some weekly rewards. Okay, so this treasury is filled with yield-bearing assets, tokens that have APR of some sort, right? So every week, this treasury is going to look at the rewards that were accumulated, so above the amount that they obtained, and then they will auction those off for Sphere tokens. So it'll automatically set up these like auctions of the rewards, and you can kind of look at this auction and be like, hey, yeah, I want these tokens, and you can then buy them. Okay, so again, it's an auction, right? So Grandma will have to obtain some Sphere somehow. So she could obtain it in many ways. She could buy it from the bonding curve, buy it from the liquidity pool. She could have some SonicSPHERE and convert it, or she could do the last thing I'll talk about, okay, which is borrow or collateralize her tokens. Okay, I'll talk about that in a sec. So let's focus on Grandma. So Grandma can then give some Sphere tokens that based on these auctions here, and give these Sphere tokens, and in return get back those assets that were obtained via the APR on the treasury. Okay, so those Sphere tokens are then instantly claimable by these GSphere people, instantly and pro rata. So all the GSphere holders will get their share of Grandma's tokens, and they will get to claim them instantly once she's paid them. Moving on. Now, the last thing you can do with this GSphere, if you hold this GSphere, you can use it against the bonding curve to borrow WS, because Sphere is always backed by 1S because it's in a bonding curve. So they can use this bonding curve to also lend out. So they can lend out these tokens to the people. So people still own the GSphere, but they now have extracted the value back. So if you were to buy Sphere, let's say you bought Sphere for so you say you bought 100 Sphere for 100 WS somehow, either on the bonding curve or in the liquidity pools. Then you staked it, locked it, or whatever, staked it for GSphere, and then you can immediately collateralize it. So use the GSphere to borrow 100 WS. Now it's a little less than 100 WS, but it is roughly 1-to-1. It's actually 95.5 LTV. Okay, so if you put 100 if you had 100 GSphere, you could borrow 97.5 WS from the bonding curve, and you would still be the owner of that GSphere, and you still have your voting power and so forth. Okay, so you borrow that WS out there, and you could then take that WS and do whatever you like with it. So this is how, because you can do this, what's going to happen generally is people are going to loop this, okay, and they're going to push up the bonding curve price, because now that they have this WS, they can just quickly buy some more Sphere and lock it and collateralize it again, and then buy some more Sphere and lock it and collateralize it again, right? So that'll push this up, and that'll make that arbitrage opportunity happen on the bonding curve quite often, okay? Especially when people really like go crazy and start looping it like crazy. But if in the case that nobody loops and there's no buying of Sphere from the bonding curve, it's still backed 1-to-1, so you're still safe. Okay, the last thing I talk about are these fees. Okay, the protocol is going to take some fees. You know, it has to do some maintenance, it has to do some stuff like that, and there are also some of the emissions that go, instead of going to some of these, we'll call them Dutch auction gauges, they also get a tiny amount into the treasury in order to bribe outside protocols to get emissions on outside protocols as well, and so forth. So, but the fees here are on the bonding curve. It's a 0.3%. It's basically like a standard liquidity pool swap trading fee. And then we have anytime someone borrows, they get 97.5 LTV, right? So that extra 1.25 is also a fee that is taken by the protocol in order to, you know, taking care of business. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I hope this is interesting. I hope this is useful and understandable. I think it's a pretty cool project. I really like it, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you and goodbye.